Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Sebastian, a medical student from Australia. And today we are doing something that no one really requested, but I decided, why not? Let's do it anyways. And that is a answering your assumptions video, because I've seen this all over YouTube. I'd seen some of my other favorite creators doing it, and I'm like, why not? Let's do my own version. Okay, so first off the bat, we have Scott Pirie saying, your brother is superior to you. Well, that's my little bro. Yeah, he probably is the better brother. Better looking, more hardworking, more compassionate. So I'm gonna have to give it to you, champ. And I'll try and improve myself for next time. X3 Victor says, you are a good boy. That's what my mom told me when I was 7. And I'd like to hope that I am still keeping up with my good values, with my good morals, because you have to be a bit of a good boy in medical school. So I hope I'm following through with that. Lordy Lord says, you don't have time to sleep. And honestly, these last couple of weeks have been pretty hectic. We have an anatomy spot test coming up next week. I've been doing a lot of YouTube stuff for this channel. You guys have seen me doing weekly uploads for the last month. And yeah, I've just been trying to manage tutoring and some other things, so it's been pretty rough. I'm usually one to need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I'm kind of like a fussy little tree that needs a lot of light, that needs a lot of loving. And so if I don't get my 8 hours, I'm feeling pretty cranky. And recently I've only been able to get 6 to 7, so more on the tired side, but once all this exam block is out of the way, I will be hibernating for a good week. So MD Prospect, who is also a fellow YouTuber, he makes good videos, so check him out. He says, you make videos to procrastinate from studying. And yeah, you're not too wrong with that. A lot of the times, a lot of days, I won't be feeling in the complete study mood to get a lot done. So instead, I'll kind of like load up my editing program and just fiddle around, try different effects, spend some time making these videos cooler than they really are. So I hope you guys appreciate the editing that goes into them. Also, I apologize in advance if I pronounce your name wrong. I'll try my best. But It's Me, Cesare Maria says, has a pleasing personality and a little bit ambitious. So I like to think that my personality is pleasing. And I would say I am a little bit ambitious. I'm not gunning to be the best physician or the world-class surgeon in the field or revolutionizing the YouTube platform. But I do have some certain goals. I want to be a good doctor when I grow up. I want to graduate. I have a few interest areas. So neurology and infectious diseases is one of them. So if I go into a specialty like that, I do want to be good in my field. I want to be a good, competent doctor for my patients. And I want to look after them to the best of my ability. But at the end of the day, I still value some free time, doing my hobbies like this video editing stuff, learning languages, trying to, keep up to date with exercise and playing video games with my friends. And so I think there is an element of ambition and I want to achieve my goals, but at the same time, I want to do it without sacrificing too much of the things that I enjoy. Shayla Willow says, school ducks and mildly humble about it, only mildly. So first of all, I wasn't the school ducks. One of my friends was actually the school ducks. I think I ranked 7th or 8th in my school. So I wasn't terrible, but definitely not ducks worthy. I'd like to think that I'm a bit humble. There's a quote that my dad always used to tell me, self-praise is no praise at all. So it's finding the balance between telling people you care about your achievements and them celebrating it together and not going over the top and giving yourself too much self-praise. Sincerely Daniza says, you're the quiet one in your friend group. So I'd say this is not quite true. I'm probably more on the moderate to louder side. So I've had a group of friends that I've known all the way since high school, all the way through uni until now. We've been best mates for years. And I would say I've been generally the more talkative one in the group. We have a quiet one and we have a more loud one. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Sally Ali Lai says you slightly hurt when you see hate comments. So the good thing is on this channel, you guys are so nice and so positive and so motivating that I actually haven't seen that many hate comments. But when I come across one or two, I am a little bit cut. And I think with any project that you do, whether that be academic or social, you just have to find good people that can lift you up and good people that can support you through your journey. And so when you come across these obstacles or when you come across these negative comments, you won't let them get to you. You'll just keep moving on, look at the bigger vision, the bigger goal, and put it behind you. Honestly, I read so many of the comments, I've been saving some of them, and I try to read all of them and reply to them. You guys are just so nice, such a great community. So keep doing what you're doing. Also from Sally Alley, she says, you wished you played the piano. And I'm not gonna lie, when I see some of my friends who can play the piano, it makes me really jealous to see how crazy that talent is. And one of my good friends who's been featured on the channel, Declan, he can play pretty well, and he can just make all these songs and music straight off the top of his head. And I think it's an awesome skill. When I was younger, I didn't really play any instruments. I played a little bit of guitar in year 7, but didn't continue it, and then decided to pick it up again back in uni. So I can play a little bit of guitar now, not that great, but I do kind of wish I spent a little bit more time learning an instrument and completing it and sticking around with it. If you're thinking of doing a hobby or getting into an instrument, go for it, because it's a lot of fun and you'll thank your future self in a year's time. So Tigi24 says you only eat Weet-Bix in the morning because you've never tried any cereals. So this is an interesting one because I've always eaten Weet-Bix ever since I was little, like ever since I can remember. My dad would either give us porridge or Weet-Bix to eat, and it was one or the other. My mum would never really buy any of the junk food or the sugar-loaded cereals like Cocoa Puffs, or I don't actually know many of them. But let us know what you guys have every morning, because I haven't really tried heaps. Isra Sagir says you get jealous easily. And I'd probably say, yeah, I do probably get a bit jealous. My girlfriend always teases me about it. She says like I get overly defensive. And even sometimes when I'm looking at my other friends, I think to myself, damn, I wish I could have got that mark in the exam, or wow, you're really talented when it comes to this sport or this musical instrument. There's a quote that I like by Jordan Peterson, and he says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to somebody else today. And I think when it comes to self-development and self-growth, that's probably one of the most important things to abide by. Addy Webb 111 says you're a perfectionist. And yes, there's been so many times when I've been too much of a perfectionist and taken way too long doing an assignment or even video editing, trying to get everything perfect in my head. And when you look back into it, no one picks it up, no one notices, it's all just in my own head and it doesn't matter. So I've been trying less to overthink things, and I'm trying to just do and take action on things. No96 says you're a great singer. And I'd say I'm an okay singer. I'm not great. Like some people that just have a great voice. I can sing, it's all right. Maybe I'll show you guys one day on the channel. Fatima Carino says never crams or procrastinates. And this has to be so untrue because there's been too many exams where I've had to cram. I think one night I was with my friends and we're at the university library, and I had about 4 or 5 cups of coffee just to keep me up. And we were powering through the study for this exam that we had in the morning. And we crammed pretty hard. We did okay in the exam, but it was pretty tiring. And one thing I've learned from undergrad is that cramming doesn't really work long term. It can help you with a small exam or something that is only testing you on very few concepts. But when it comes to actually understanding the concepts and taking it away in the future to be able to teach someone else or being able to apply it into practice, cramming doesn't work. You really need to learn it slowly, learn it in a way, in a method that works for you, and take your time with it. Because learning is a marathon, it's not a sprint, it's an accumulative process. _Chanel says you know how to dance. And honestly, I am pretty rubbish at dancing. My feet don't really work, and my friends tell me that there's this thing that I do when I'm at a club or at a disco, at a party, is I'll do like the same repeat dance over and over and over again. It's like the same movements, and it looks kind of funny, and they love watching it, and they crack up every time it happens. But yeah, I'm probably like your average 5 out of 7 dancer. Fatima29 says, you have more girlfriends than boyfriends. And this is definitely just not the case. So you guys have met my girlfriend Deb on the channel. So apart from Deb, I have a few other mates that are girls in university, but most of my friends, my high school friends and my close friends from university, they're all mainly guys. So it's a bit of a boys club out here. Hedson0611 says you are half Japanese. And no, I'm not half Japanese. I'm half Filipino and half Scottish. So a lot of people think that I'm half Asian, and they usually guess Chinese or Korean, but not many people guess Filipino. So there you go, that's my nationality. Jasmine CHR says you love anime. And honestly, I don't watch a lot of anime. I haven't got super into it. There was one anime series that I really enjoyed. It was called The 7 Deadly Sins or 7 Deadly Sins. I watched it on Netflix. That was pretty cool. Melodious. But no, if you haven't checked it out, 7 Deadly Sins is really cool. Each of the characters is like one of the sins, and there's all these cool battle scenes, and all the villains are nice. But yeah, not a huge anime fan, but if you've got any recommendations, feel free to chuck them down below. Might check them out. This is XSam, who says you're low-key rich. See, this is a tricky one because I wouldn't consider myself rich. As a person, I'm not rich, but I'm lucky enough to have grown up in a family that sent me to good schools that have actually helped me through university. I have a home that I'm sort of safe and lucky to be in. So in that sense, I'm quite lucky and I'm quite privileged to be able to go through tertiary education, be relatively okay. but I wouldn't say I'm rich. I've had my fair share of part-time jobs, of waitering tables, of cleaning dishes. I actually worked in a supermarket for 3 years, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, so I've had my fair share of work, and all the gadgets and little trinkets that you see on my desk and the things that I use, I purchased them all myself with, I guess, my part-time money. So I wouldn't say I'm rich, but I'm definitely lucky to be in a position where I don't have to worry about my finances while I study. And because I live in Australia, we have other services like a HEX debt where you can pay off your student fees later down the track when you're actually working. _dreadaz says, you only have friends that are doctors. And I don't think this is quite correct because yes, I have a bunch of friends that are now in medical school because I met them through my classes, but most of my close friends that I've known for years don't do medicine. I have a few friends that do engineering, one does law, and we all do a variety of things, and I think that keeps the friendship group really, really diverse and really dynamic, especially when you come to meet up. And if you're doing, say, medicine, or if you're going to science, make sure that you keep in touch with your friends who are not doing science or not doing medicine, because having a diverse range of friends really gets you to see different perspectives and different opinions on topics that you wouldn't have otherwise. Tiana Rudd says you got a 99.95 ATAR. And scrolling through, a bunch of you guys have made the assumption that I got a perfect ATAR. So if you're not from Australia, a 99.95 ATAR is the equivalent of like the top high school mark that you can get when you graduate. And that was definitely not my mark. I've met a few people that have got that mark and they're really talented and hardworking and really cool. But my ATAR was 97.7. So I definitely applied myself and tried my best, and my mark was good, but not as crazy as those people that get the top mark. M. Dinesh says you secretly binge watch Grey's Anatomy or one of those doctor shows. And truthfully, I have never watched any of those doctor shows. I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy, I haven't watched House, I haven't watched Scrubs. I've seen the odd clips on YouTube and on Facebook, but never watched them properly. I guess I was interested in medicine before I sort of saw these shows, but I know that a lot of people love them. But maybe one day I'll do a reaction to Grey's Anatomy or Scrubs or one of those medical shows. Mridu Sreya says you love broccoli. And yes, if there was a vegetable, broccoli would be on the top of the list. They're like little trees. You're like eating little trees. They're so tasty. Nid Zait's Cake says you're never late for anything. And if you're talking about academic things like classwork or like a conference or a meeting, then yes, I'm never late. When it comes to social things, I am so blasé and so flippant about getting to events. And a lot of my friends tease me, my girlfriend tells me off, so definitely have to get more consistent because the whole fashionably late thing, it only works if you're 10 to 15 minutes late, but once you're like 30, an hour, your friends are not gonna like you too much. Ella SSI says you look tired all the time. Wow, do I? I probably do. Look at these eye bags. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I should get some sleep. I might actually nap after this. That's a good idea. So the Wacky and Dead says jungle main haha. And if you don't know what this means, there's a game called League of Legends. And in the game, there's different roles. You can play like a jungler, you can play a AD carry. And so this character here, who is Lee Sin, is actually a jungler. And I wasn't a jungler main, I was an AD carry main. My favorite characters were Vayne, Caitlyn, Lucian. So I played a lot of AD carry. And then I started playing jungle. And I play jungle now because I'm just not as good as I used to be. And AD carry requires way too much mechanics that my old brain can't handle. Yasmin Abdul Khalek says donuts are greater than matcha. And I love donuts. Matcha's pretty good too. And I'd have to agree with you. I think sorry to all the matcha lovers out there, but I'd rate donuts a little bit higher. And Krispy Kreme donuts are so good. Istarissa says you only hang with Asians. And this is true to some extent. I do hang out with Asians, but I also hang out with non-Asians or just very mixed people. I have a group of friends where we're all kind of mixed. I have some Caucasian friends, I have some Asian friends, some Indian friends. And the good thing about Australia is we're such a multicultural nation, so you definitely meet all these different cultures, all these different people. That's why making friends is exciting, because you have a diverse range of opinions and cultures and backgrounds. Lionhead says, has a family background of doctors. And no, I don't. I don't think there's anybody in my family that's a doctor. So I'll probably be the first, I think I'm the first person in my family to do medicine. I know one of my family members is a dentist, but yeah, no one that's doctors. So Das_Ku says, timid at first, but talkative for real. I think you mean like, I'm pretty shy when I meet someone, but more talkative when I get to know them. And I'd probably say, yeah, this is kind of true. When I meet someone for the first time, I'm a little bit more measured. I try to suss out the scenario so I don't talk as much. But then once I feel comfortable with somebody, I'll just start loading and start talking and jabbering about nothing and start rambling, and you won't even understand what I'm saying half the time. Embracing Grace says you don't know how to speak Tagalog. And this is true. I never learned Tagalog and I can't actually understand it either. So when I'm over with my Filipino relatives and they're all speaking Tagalog, I have no idea what they're saying. But definitely on my list for something to do later on. I love to learn the language and I love to be able to talk to my family members in Tagalog, maybe when I'm older. Isabella Murtagh says, Bruce is your best friend. And you love Bruce more than your girlfriend. So the first is somewhat true. The second is not true. I love Bruce, but sorry mate, you miss out. But he's definitely a good little boy. He spends some time with me, he studies with me, he watches me. He's like my guardian angel. So, Sood Easy Net says, you like playing the guitar when you are stressed. And boom, you hit the nail on your head. I definitely do like to play the guitar when I'm stressed. It just takes away all that nervousness and that anxiety, and it's just a place where you can just relax and chill out. And some of my favorite guitarists have to be like John Mayer on the electric, or Alan Gogol, who's an Australian, and he plays like these amazing songs on the acoustic guitar. And every time I listen to them, it just sort of calms me down and puts away all that stress from exams or stress from uni work. Raj BKR says, I think you are bisexual. And no, I'm not bisexual, but thanks for the assumption. Very interesting one. Appreciate it. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for the assumptions. Thanks so much for everybody that sent one or wrote one through. I tried getting to most of them, but there were just heaps there. And I hope you guys found this interesting, learned a little bit more about me, and thanks again for 50,000 subscribers. I remember a year ago where I set my goal to 1,000 subscribers, and we have well surpassed that. So thanks for following me on this journey, and I'm excited to see what's in store. But if you enjoyed the video, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to see more content like this. I make plenty of videos about medical school and about productivity and study tips, so I'll put the playlist somewhere here. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, this was Sebastian. Stay sharp.